Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in your day. Welcome back to the Wealth Reimagined podcast on the Family Bloodline Network. I'm your host, Maya Kay, and super excited to be back with you again. We just keep this train rolling, you know what I'm saying? So hope you all are having a great day. Here we are, it's Monday again. And, I don't know if you had a great weekend. I must say I had a pretty decent weekend. It was pretty relaxing. It was really a time that I was looking forward to continue like a just a refresh, recharge session. I had a very eventful week. And I just needed some downtime. I just needed some me time, and I was able to have that this weekend. My youngest daughter is away in Europe right now on an amazing trip in France. And I'm super excited to just hear and see some of the texts and the photos that she's been able to share. And I was also able to speak with her yesterday, and I was so excited to hear her voice. I hadn't heard her voice in a week, and I'm just glad she's having a great time. So besides that, just had a lot of, I guess, just like I said, just refresh and recharge. And I was really just trying to reevaluate some things, had a lot of stress and was trying to really pinpoint that stress and, how I got to a point of a high stress. And of course, there's always certain factors that, we don't have control over, but there are things that we do have control over. And it's really interesting because some of that kind of trickles over into what I wanted to talk about today and share with you. And that's about boundaries. I really had to reevaluate boundaries, either boundaries that I have set and I did not stick with. I didn't abide by my own boundaries that I've set. And I honestly had to deal with the consequences of not doing that. So just in that, I'm excited to discuss it, somewhat excited. It's not the most enjoyable topic, but I think it's very necessary, and it trickles into your financial journey as well, because you have to be able to set boundaries. You just have to, for your own health, mental health, being able to sustain things, just really getting over, I believe, myths about and around them. So I'm excited. The part that I'm excited about is that this just kind of fell in line with what we've been discussing. And I feel like it was an appropriate topic as we all journey together with our finances. So I titled this episode, No is a Complete Sentence. And because it is. No is a complete sentence. And it's interesting how no can at times be a very difficult thing to say to people, especially people we care about, especially, sometimes you're in a situation where you're trying to gain credibility or, get someone to like and approve of you, which, that's a topic for another time, right? Because we shouldn't generally be in a matter where we would even care what someone's thoughts or approval of us would be. But there are those instances where, we, I think, sometimes are agreeable with things for certain reasons because of the environment. Maybe it's in agreement because of who it is, a family, loved one, spouse, partner, and sometimes maybe we feel some type of obligation to them when they ask things of us. And so that's really, where I want to start is just making sure everyone understands, or maybe you need to hear it. I remember when I started a therapy journey, this would have been over a decade ago. And I remember sharing certain things, and my therapist was just kind of like, I'm thinking I gotta, when someone asks me certain things, I have to answer and go into all this and, explain. And she was just like, well, why don't you just tell them that you don't want to talk about that? And I honestly was like thinking, I can say that. I can say that. I can tell someone. And not, I know that I could tell anybody, but this was like an elder, right? And it's like I can tell them that I don't want to talk about something. And it was very enlightening for me. And I don't know if anyone can out there listening can relate to that. I think sometimes the way we're raised and certain things in culture, sometimes we feel stuck in a space where we're never able to really fully involved into our adulthood, because there's a lot of just probably beliefs again that don't serve us, and cultural expectations, some spoken, some unspoken, that can inhibit us. So um, that was actually very freeing and liberating to know that, oh, you know what, you're right. I can tell someone if it's not something I want to discuss, I don't have to discuss it. And so therefore, I just want to make sure that you hear me when I'm telling you this, that you are not obligated to take care of other adults. This is me presuming that most of you listening are adults. Okay. And you're not obligated to take care of other adults. Now, there's some exceptions to that, right? I mean, if you're married, you know, I feel obligated. I mean, yeah, there's an sense of obligation there because that's your spouse and you all chose one another to do life together. But I'm speaking more about, um, you know, extended family, friends, adult children, like adult children, as in way beyond the years of um, finishing college, even if they didn't go to college, about that age, like 26. Let's give them 26. And I think that's very, uh, that's a lot. That's in case you've changed your major a few times, right? Which is fine. I changed my major multiple times in college as well. You're trying to figure it out, but you are not obligated to care for adults and take care of them financially. You're not. You don't have to do it. You shouldn't be doing it. And there is a difference between helping somebody and enabling somebody. And a lot of times, we may mean well. We think it's a good Christian thing to do and all of that. I have to say, yes, this person came to me in need. Did they? Did they come to you in need? Did they come to you in want? Did they come to you in disarray? Why do they need to come to you financially, right? Why do they need you financially? Why don't they have whatever it is that they need? And sometimes it might be a conversation. You might be able, if that person is willing to go into maybe what's going on, maybe a conversation and brainstorming is more appropriate than you helping them financially. So I'll back it up a little bit, because you may be at a place where you can help someone. You may already have a budget that you stick to. You already have a fully funded and established emergency fund. You are already on the investing path. You have a space to be generous, right? That's different. That's different. I'm speaking to you. This is me too. I am in no position to be supporting another adult. First of all, I have children that I am responsible for, and all my sacrificing and funds go to my kids and making sure they have everything that they need, to make sure they can have certain experiences, make sure they can eat, all of that. So I am responsible for and responsible and obligated to take care of my household. So if you don't have your household in order, you don't have a budget, you are in debt, you may not be in a position where you are supporting other households. You should not be supporting someone else's household, because you helping another household really strips this person of growing, evolving, dealing with consequences so that they can get themselves on a good path, on a financial responsible path. And so, I'm sure it could be rubbing people the wrong way, right? Some people believe, no, you're supposed to do whatever you can for your family. I didn't say don't do for them. I didn't say don't be there, don't be a support, don't be a source of love. Absolutely. But I'm sure we have all encountered somebody who just can't get it together. They just cannot seem to get it together. And that's different, right? I think I've said this on a different episode where I'm not referring to someone who just fell upon hard times and they're just like, they are making an effort, a serious effort to get back on their feet, get things back in order, and they just need a little help, right? And even then, that little bit of help that they need might not be you giving them money time and time again. I will retract something that I said on a prior episode where I said, if it's something that you want to do and someone's coming, they're going to be asking for money. And I said, then you might need to build them as a line item. I said that coming from a space of if this is something that I guess you need to do or you really want to do. And this is also assuming that you have space in your money and budget to do so. This is also assuming you are fully funded emergency fund. This is also assuming you are not in debt and that you are in a space to be generous. You are in a space to be generous. The line item comment was more about sticking to that philosophy of knowing where every single dollar, every single cent is going. You should never have funds unaccounted for in your budget, okay? So I just want to be clear, because I don't mean to have some type of line item in your budget to enable someone. No. No, 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 no. And again, you got to already have your things in order. You already got to have your things in order. And it's really selfish and a bit disrespectful for another adult to be coming to you, asking you to indirectly support them. That just shouldn't be a thing. I was listening to someone's story this week because I've been digging really into boundary setting, not all about finances, but just in general. But somebody made a comment about, so the story was around this guy who was he called into a show, and he was really stressing. He was really stressing out and trying to figure out what to do. He's already purchased, well, I think it was that his mom's husband that passed, right? So this is his stepfather that passed away. And he was saying that based off of the way that they were living and all the things that they were doing and all the stuff that they were giving, he thought that they were set up and that when he passed that his mom would be okay. Well, it turns out she wasn't. And she couldn't afford everything that they had. I'm assuming stepdad didn't have life insurance or not enough to pay off the house or something, but her pensions and social security weren't sufficient to for her to maintain the home. So the son calls in, and he's sounds like he had already purchased his mom a condo to live in, and she, however, was being demanding that she wanted the kitchen remodeled in it and all of this stuff. And it's like, wow, like you are, in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, you are living in this free condo. And then you have the nerve to be demanding of the conditions of that condo. That's a little wild to me. It's not like he had her in some slumlord conditions, right? This was just something she wanted. So, of course, he was advised, similar to what we're talking about, you don't have to do that. You don't have to remodel. You've already done a lot. And it sounds like he probably wasn't really in a financial position to have done it in the first place, and for sure not to keep doing it. So the host of that show made a comment that I had honestly never thought about. And he said that parents asking their children, adult children, I would throw just children in there, but of course we were talking about adults. Parents asking their children for money is a form of child abuse. It's a form of adult child abuse. And I was like, wow, I have never thought about that as child abuse. So the more I was thinking about it, I'm like, I could see that, because it falls in line with any type of abuse, any type of mental abuse, any type of psychological abuse, because there's a lot of guilt and shaming and manipulation involved in abuse. And guilting and shaming and manipulating and forcing the hand of someone, putting themselves in a situation where they have to be rescued. You've put yourself in such a bad position, or someone has to, or you will force them to feel like they have to rescue you out of this situation. That is abuse. I said, wow, I have never thought about that in that light. So, helping versus enabling. Obligation versus generosity. Be sure you are able to separate the two from one another. Helping, are you helping or are you enabling? Are you obligated or are you just wanting to be generous? Okay, so keep that in mind. We don't have to deal with toxicity. We don't have to deal with a toxic behavior just because it's family. And I don't know if anyone needs to hear that. You don't have to deal with toxic behavior just because it's family. You have to have self-respect for yourself. You have to choose yourself always. I'm not coming from an arrogance. You should be choosing yourself. You are the most important person to yourself. You have to show up for yourself. You set something out for yourself, you got to show up for you. If nobody else shows up for you, you have to show up for you. So when it comes to this financial journey that we're all on together, we have set out to get a little starter emergency fund if you don't have one, so you can stop burning that credit card for anything and everything that comes up unexpected. We are establishing budgets, so we have accounted for every dollar, every cent that we earn. Every dollar and cent that comes in, we know exactly where it is. We know exactly what we have. We have clarity on that because we are budgeting. We are making sure we are getting out of debt. We are understanding how credit works so that we can utilize it properly and as a tool to help us reach our goals. That's what we're doing here. And so anything that comes up that will deter and derail those goals, then we have to have boundaries. We have to have boundaries in place. And so you may have to come up with those boundaries in advance. You may have to come up with them in advance based off of what you know about yourself and what it is that you want to do. The other thing is that story really made me think about comparison. Like it will really, really bite you every time. Sitting and comparing or thinking based off what you see that someone has something together. And so it's really not our business what someone has or it looks like they have. Somebody want to cover the meal for everybody at the table. We're assuming like, wow, they must be really doing really well for themselves because they can do that. Nope, it could have been a flex. They probably are in debt. They probably don't have any money. They probably live paycheck to paycheck. They probably put it on a credit card. So don't be fooled by actions and behaviors that you see people do. Some people, like I said, they just trying to flex. Don't be fooled, especially by what you see online. The highlight reels that you see. And people only posting positive stuff. They didn't post that flat tire they got. They didn't post when the HVAC went out and how they have no way to fix it. So just don't be fooled by certain things. And remember, it's not your business. Focus on your household. Focus on your finances. Focus on what you want to be able to do. And so I'm going to let that kind of lead into, because I could go on and on, but I really just want to give you some things to take away, some practicals to apply when you are thinking about boundaries. So the first thing I wanted to say was get to the root of your weak or non-existent boundaries. You got to get to the root of it. So, I mean, that can look a lot of ways. You know, getting to the root of something is when you keep questioning your answer. Why can't I say no? Well, because saying no is rude. Why do I think saying no is rude? Well, because I think saying no is rude because I don't like how it makes people feel. Okay, well, how does it make people feel to be told no? And why is it rude? And you just keep asking. You keep questioning your answer. You keep questioning your answer. Well, I don't want to be I don't want to seem mean. Why do you think that it's mean to say no? Right? Like you just keep asking, keep so getting to that's it's probably I hope it's not confusing, but that's how you get to the root of something. Getting to the root of an issue is to just keep questioning your answer until you find the root cause. So if you think something's mean, um, you might say, "Oh, because I remember it was mean when someone told me no." Okay, well, why did they tell you no? Like, just keep questioning it until you get to the root of it. Sometimes you can get to the root of an issue simply doing that. Sometimes you can get to the root of issue by journaling. Sometimes you might have to go to therapy. Sometimes it might be deep rooted trauma that's a reason you are unable to say no to people. Maybe instead of saying no, you say yes every time and now you're miserable. Um, Maybe you become avoidant of people because you don't want to have to say no because it's hard. So get to the root of either weak or non existent boundaries. That's number one thing I want you to take away from this. Um, Another thing that I jotted down was to find an accountability partner. Find somebody that you can talk to about your goals and what you want to do financially, right? This has to be somebody you can trust, someone that you know is going to maybe challenge you or tell you something unpopular because it's the best thing. But have an accountability partner or be a part of a financial accountability group or start one. Start one. Um, because you need sometimes a sounding board or someone to support you and remind you of, no, remember you said that you weren't going to lend any money to family. Or remember you said next time your adult child came and asked you for this, you were going to say no, and this was why. So sometimes we just need that accountability partner. Okay. I really encourage that. I encourage that on your financial journey in general. It's great to have somebody who isn't trying to get anything from you, doesn't want anything from you, but you can talk about financial wins. You can just bounce an idea off of them, share something you're thinking about, because sometimes we need that. And it's good to have that. I definitely have a financial accountability partner. My sister is my financial accountability partner. And I don't know what I would do without her because she knows me. She knows me. She knows kind of, you know, what what would come next if I did make certain decisions. Maybe I am not thinking about like, yeah, but if it don't work out, then you're gonna, she's able to um be ahead of maybe a decision that would be detrimental to me, maybe detrimental to my mental health. And so I love having her in my corner. And so I really encourage you all to have an accountability partner as well. And the third thing I wrote down, I think that would assist with setting boundaries. And this is when you already have, figured out the root and you're working on that, right? You have an accountability partner to bounce things off of. Be sure you always have some type of active goal, some type of active financial goal. So that way, if someone is asking you, um, you can remember, like, in case you need to, right? Pull this out, not to share and throw in their face, but just for yourself. Like, nah, nope, 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 nope. I said I was going to have $10,000 saved by Thanksgiving or whatever. And so them asking me for 1,000 is going to slow down that process. Absolutely not. And you can say, no, I'm not able to do that. So those were three takeaways I wanted you to take when you think about saying no. and practice saying no. No, that's actually sufficient. No, no, I'm not able to do that. Sorry, I can't help you with that. Write down ways that feel natural for you to say no. That's one that I'm just thinking of now. Because at the end of the day, you have to know who you are. You have to understand how some yeses impact you. You should not, and you should understand that you should not be giving anybody money that you aren't able to just throw away. What I mean by that is if you are giving somebody money and you need them to pay you back, like you need that money back, then you're not in a position to give anybody money. That's not generosity. Now you've set yourself in a position and you waiting on this person to pay you back who 9 times out of 10 is not going to pay you back. And so if you're not able to just give it as a gift out of the generosity of your heart, then you're not in a position to give. You can't. So that's some other things. I have heard a lot of people have specific, absolutely, never do this type, things. And a lot of those were never lend money to family and never co-sign for somebody. And I don't disagree with those boundaries, but I do not believe in one size fits all cookie cutter advice. And there might be a situation where you should. I'm not trying to be flip-floppy here either with this. I'm just saying there might be a situation, there might be a family member that you do feel that level of comfort with and trust. There might be a situation where it works, but usually statistics show it does not. It does not work out. It changes the dynamic of the relationship. It burns bridges. You're looking at the person sideways because they owe you money, but you see they got new shoes. I mean, all that. And so just know that data doesn't lie. Numbers don't lie. Data is out there to show. And then the co-signing thing, I mean, we could do a whole nother episode on that. So I'm not going to even go into that because I think that would be a great episode because in my experience, people don't seem to fully understand what they are signing up for when they co-sign. So we'll address that on another episode. So anyway, that's my time. I like to keep you all at a half hour and we are there. We've exceeded it slightly. So if anything shared today was valuable to you, was beneficial to you, please be sure to like and please share this with somebody. Share it with a friend, share it with family. And if you haven't subscribed, be sure to subscribe to the Family Bloodline Network so you can continue to get this content on Mondays. These are like Money Mondays, right? And so go ahead and like and subscribe if you haven't. And again, don't forget to share. So thank you for tuning in with me. And I will catch you next Monday as we continue on Wealth Reimagined, where we're talking about money for real people in real life. You all have a great day.